Let us fight more than one Terminus in Absolute. Now, I heard this suggestion before, but I never seen anybody actually cook out an explanation on why it would be good for Absolute. I'm a little skeptical. I don't know if one Terminus is fine. And we do get two Terminuses in certain operations when you have like the Bio Titan or the Hive Titan at the end. It is possible to get a Terminus in Decapitation, isn't it? Oh, it might not be. There's not really a lot of good spots for it. But that's another concern of mine is the levels, if the levels are actually not even built to deal with more than one Terminus. However, I do remember the campaign mission where they throw a Carnifex at you, and then after you defeat that Carnifex, they throw like 3 at you, but it's supposed to, you know, it's basically a fake fight where the Carnifexes are going to die anyway from the Hive Tyrant dying on the other side of the map. Anyway, I do think that part of the campaign kind of highlights how it's possible we could maybe see more than one Terminus in Horde mode, maybe? I just don't know if the levels are built for more than one Terminus. There are maybe like 1 or 2 levels I can see being the case where it's like, okay, you can get the Neurothrope early and then also get the Carnifex like halfway down the line. Mainly, you know, Termination. Termination, you can get a early spawned Terminus, and then you can also get a Terminus spawned during the objective part of that map where you're clearing out the reactors or whatever. That's the thing. That is a lot. Having 2 Terminuses in one fight or in one operation could seriously be an ammo dump. I wouldn't want to see that unless they add in some sort of, you know, maybe more grenades, more ammo boxes, maybe something like that, or maybe this could just be some sort of mode, you know, some sort of modifier where you can just get an extra Terminus. But okay, let's see what this post is cooking. Let's see if we can understand the point of view of, hey, maybe we need one more Terminus in Absolute. No, I'm not saying fight 2 Terminuses at the same time. All right. I would still like to see that in Horde mode, but yeah, I can imagine that would be kind of crazy. I'm saying let us fight 1 early in the mission and 1 later on. All right, that's fine, but the thing is, we only have 1 Terminus for Chaos, right? We only have the Hellbrute. At least I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we only have the Hellbrute for the Terminus enemies for Chaos. So we would be fighting 2 Hellbrutes. I mean, that's not too bad, I guess. I kind of enjoy fighting Hellbrutes. If there's one thing I was genuinely disappointed by with Absolute difficulty, it was the fact that Terminus spawns are still not guaranteed, and you can still only fight a maximum of 1 per mission. Okay, so they make a good point here with the non-guaranteed Terminus spawns. I always found that a little bit odd, to be honest. Like I definitely had runs in Absolute operations where we didn't get a Terminus enemy, and it's kind of something that takes me off, you know, it kind of takes me off guard, because it's like, so you're telling me in the hardest operations we might be able to dodge the hardest enemies. That said, you know, some people would say the spore mines are the hardest enemy right now. So biovores could potentially be more difficult to deal with than, let's say, a Neurothrope. Even though I do see a fair amount of players still struggling with Neurothropes, I think Neurothropes are in your face. You know, biovores are running around all over the place. Like, I would rather fight a Neurothrope than 2 biovores. You know what I mean? And we can get 2 biovores in Absolute. So I wouldn't go as far as to say I'm disappointed that we can dodge Terminus, because I think they more than make up for it with the Extremist spawns. And you can still only fight a maximum of 1 per mission. I mean, that's interesting. I still think that's fine, but I can definitely see some sort of modifier, some sort of stipulation that can allow an extra Terminus spawn. But that said, man, fighting Terminus with randoms can be the biggest hit or miss. Some randoms just don't understand how to fight Terminus spawns, even in high difficulties. And obviously, I think, you know, as fun as I think this could be, I think fighting with randoms with multiple Terminus, that could make certain missions really difficult, especially something like Reliquary. You should get at least 1 Terminus spawn in Absolute guaranteed. That's interesting. And it would be cool if we could potentially get a second spawn at other points in the mission. My assumption for the spawn limit is that Saber does not want us earning more than 2 relic data per mission. I don't think that's a concern of theirs. I really don't. Don't we get like guaranteed relic data now? Pretty much just completing a mission gets you a relic data. It's something like that, right? To be honest, I don't see why that restriction needs to be there. What's wrong with earning 3 or more? Yeah, I don't know. That's your headcanon. I think they're making some good points here. Like, it's a good post, but I see no reason to think that Saber really doesn't seem to care about relic data. I gotta be honest. They did give us a way to, you know, transfer relic data and stuff. I think they're comfortable with the amount of relic data we're getting. Consider it, Saber. It would be a nice change to help differentiate lethal and absolute, which are feeling nearly identical right now. I wouldn't go that far. I think lethal actually has something to offer in itself. Sometimes it really comes down to the game director, doesn't it? For whatever reason, I feel like Absolute definitely stands out with the 3 extremists. That's definitely how I like to play the game now, is just going into Absolute. Because, yeah, I know 3 extremists can be run killers, you know, if you get a bad roll. Like, let's say you are a melee class and you have a melee class team synergy going on, and then there's 3 biovores, and then it's really bad. You know what I mean? But yeah, for the most part, I do think lethal has, you know, lethal has its use, and then absolute has its use. They feel more, I feel like they feel more unique than this person's letting on. But still, it's interesting what the place for lethal is now. Is lethal just a stepping stone to absolute, you know? 2 Hellbrutes sounds miserable. I'm in. All right. Of course we're gonna get this comment. I just want to push back on 2 Hellbrutes just because of Reliquary. You can get a Hellbrute in the beginning of Reliquary that will immediately team check you guys to see if you guys can even get to the bridge point, and then you can get a Hellbrute on the bridge point, which is kind of crazy to think about. I would like to try it. Like, if it wasn't something that was immediately, you know, stapled into absolute, and if it was more like a modifier or something, that's why I think horde mode would be better centered for something like 2 Hellbrutes or something like that. But yeah, I just feel like there's so many bad spots and operations where 2 Terminus enemies could just kill all pacing of the level. Especially like Termination, I feel like getting a Neurothrope and then a Carnifex. Like, honestly, I've been fighting so many Terminuses recently, I'm not too worried about fighting any of them, to be honest. So yeah, maybe I guess maybe 2 Terminuses would be something I would like to try out. It sounds miserable. I'm in. I'm cautiously optimistic about something like 2 Terminus enemies. I think some operations are good for it, and then some operations are just not built for it. So, Neurothrope on Inferno before the elevator, and second one up the elevator. For Vanguard Assault Bulwark teams, they can challenge the second one to mock of rock, paper, scissors, as nobody will have any ammo left to do anything else. Okay. Oh, match. I said mock. Yeah. For Vanguard Assault Bulwark teams, they can challenge the second one to a match of rock, paper, scissors, as nobody will have any ammo left to do anything else. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Some placings of the Terminus enemies would have to be reworked. It's a nice idea, but it would need a lot more refining so you are not left angrily shaking your fist against an unreachable enemy. Okay. Yeah. I wonder, what elevator are they even talking about? So Neurothrope on, oh, Inferno. Before the elevator, yeah, no, he's right. Nah, that's 100% correct. Yeah, that could be rough. And brings us at least 1 Terminus for decapitation. I really don't remember when I see them in this operation. So apparently it's confirmed you definitely don't get a Terminus spawn for decapitation. I feel like the only spot that would be a good one for it would be basically in the beginning before you place the bomb charges. Basically, you would get a Neurothrope. But like a Carnifex would be way too janky, I feel like, in decapitation. I can't really think of an area where a Carnifex would even fit. I definitely think this is interesting. This might be something they tried out during testing, and then they just realized that Terminus enemy for decapitation would just bug things out. Or at the same time, they probably thought, hey, there's only 1 spot for a Terminus enemy, and it'd be kind of weird, you know, to have the operation feel less random, because Terminus enemies are very random. Like, there's spots you can expect them, but there's like multiple spots where you can expect them. For decapitation, there'd be 1 spot to expect a Neurothrope or a Carnifex that's going to get stuck in a corner somewhere. But interesting. Yeah, apparently the Hive Tyrant counts as a Terminus enemy, and it gives you relic data, which I wasn't 100% aware of. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of when I'm thinking of guaranteed relic data. Maybe I'm just thinking about running decapitation. Yeah, I didn't realize that. I never really put 2 and 2 together that the Hive Tyrant boss is a Terminus enemy and also gives you relic data. I feel like I've definitely seen it, but never really just, I never just realized it. I'm kind of so-so on this. I definitely agree that a Terminus spawn should be guaranteed on Absolute. However, I am also pretty terrified of facing 2 Neurthropes in a single mission. Ooh, okay, I'm with you on that. I mean, two Neurthropes. Okay, the way I read this was 2 Neurthropes at the same time. Neurthropes can definitely be a problem for melee classes, But luckily, hey, the sniper's really good now, so nah, it's just a lot of ammo. I'm more concerned with the ammo economy for 2 Terminus than anything. But this isn't really an issue with Terminus enemies. It's an issue with Neurthropes. Neurthropes are so much more dangerous, tedious, and team dependent than Hellbrute Carnifex that it's frankly ridiculous. So do I want this to be a thing? Yes, but please improve Neurthropes first. Also, relic data for the average Absolute player is meaningless, but if this was the concern, just make only the first one give armory data. Oh yeah, that's fair. I don't think it's a concern though. I really don't think it's a concern. I have so much, I have seriously so much relic data. I don't know what to do with anymore. I definitely wish I could use it to like unlock some more deals or something. Would actually be pretty interesting, fighting multiple Terminus at the same time, but in set pairs, so you want to get something like Neurothrop and Carnifex at the same time. Fighting 2 Carnifexes simultaneously would be pretty epic, though, and probably really require some team coordination. Yeah, see, that's the thing. You know how many runs would be absolutely obliterated just because there's 2 Carnifexes spawning in, and, there's not really a lot of communication between the teams. I mean, even with that, you could be fighting a Carnifex on your screen, and then the other Carnifex can charge at you off screen. That just, I don't know, that feels very janky. Like one Battle Brother pulls one of the beasts away, occupying it and stalling it, while the other while the 2 others take out the other one. Kind of like bosses in Souls games that first appear by themselves and then as a pair later on. Interesting. Huh. I don't know. It still sounds a little janky to me. Definitely let me know in the comments how you would feel about this. I'm just a little worried about the team coordination for randoms. Kind of like Souls bosses appear by themselves and then as a pair later on. I mean, if they're just talking about this Godskin duo, it's not like they do this that often. And even in those cases, in Souls games, you do get an option to summon, like a Phantom. So you could technically take these on, or take these bosses on alone and be fine. Interesting. This is kind of a good subject. I think this is something that's more, this is something that's basically more appealing to me when it comes to Horde mode, but only if we had like 4 players would I want to see a double Carnifex fight. But I gotta say, now that sounds really good. That sounds really good. 2 Carnifexes, 4 players. Yeah, I need that fight. Oh my god. All right, yeah, definitely let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this. I feel like Absolute is in a good spot. Absolute is very fun. I've been playing a lot of it, and I don't know if it needs really any adjustments, but I do think the conversation's interesting when it comes to guaranteed Terminus spawns as well. But something like 2 Carnifexes, I feel like it would be better. It's a better situation for Horde mode for sure.